Okay, good. So, it's me, Tim. I'm here again. Yeah, as always. I accidentally shut the video down while I was doing it. Please excuse the mess. It's still here. The bookshelf that collapsed over here, you can still see part of its backboard. Um, it's been a mess since January, but it's left me with these. This needs to be swapped out for my game books because the game books are taller than the trade paperbacks. Most of them. I noticed Camelot 3000 and a couple others are a little too tall for this, like the Invincible books. I don't have all the Invincible books, and I think I'm glad I stopped where I did because of stuff that happens later on. I love Invincible. Don't get me wrong. I don't watch the cartoon. I just read the comics. I'm good. Um, but Hearts of Soul is going to come. It's going to come this year, I hope. I mean, we Kickstarter again. I aim for a smaller amount this time, which is wise. I'm mostly just going to get the artist paid, and who's going to edit it and who's going to lay it out paid as best as possible. I'm not going to take much money for myself. I'm also hoping that I can come up with a way to make the rules, but not the fiction stuff. All the character creations I created, all this history for the city that I created, open content. Uh, Creative Commons share alike. And that way others who can do books for it, setting books anyway, um, to their own, and have their own rules with it. I have come up with an alternate rule that I like a lot that could probably be an option in the rule book. It might not be finished play tested by the time we do the Kickstarter. Um, if that happens, I will probably still produce the book and may either make it as a free download or see if I can wedge it into the book really fast at the last minute, or maybe put it in the world book. I would prefer to get it in the core book, of course, because I like giving you as much game as possible. I'm very much one of those people who's like, you paid for this, I want you to get as much out of it as you can. Very much so. Now, I want to talk about um, other games as well. I want to talk about Marvel. I've been playing more superhero games lately. Most of the D&D games I was in have ended, or I walked away from because I was not enjoying them. It's not the game system's fault entirely, because I like the edition. I'm just tired of fantasy, especially high fantasy of that type. High fantasy sort of mixed with sword and sorcery like Calislantra is still cool. High fantasy like Magic Terror Squad is awesome because I really want to play that. It's a very beautiful game, although there are some choices I think I would have liked a little bit bigger print. Not a lot, but a little bit bigger because there are pages that are like you have a page and there's this big old white space block, and I'm like, you could have written more here, or you can make the print just one font step bigger because I'm getting old. I'm going to be 50 this year, so whatever. Now, Favorite is my favorite superhero game, uh, other than Hearts and Souls, which I wrote. So Favorite will always be second, just about. Sometimes it trades places with another game for a little bit. Marvel has done several role-playing games based on their products. Not Marvel themselves have not produced them, most of them. Wizards of the Coast, that is actually originally the original TSR, not anybody who goes with that name now, but the original TSR produced Favorite, my second ideal game. They produced Marvel Saga, which usually comes in about third, for superhero comic book games. Uh, then Marvel themselves, rather than TSR, produced their third game, which is the Marvel Universe role playing game. That was the one that used little stones that you moved around to power your powers as energy. Um, that one had some fans, but I did not become one of them. I tried it. I tried to run it. I tried to play it, and I realized that it was a nightmare to GM to move points, and there was not enough guidelines as to what characters could do with their powers in the little books. Because there are things that I know, for example, Cyclops was capable of, that isn't described in his character sheet in that game. It is in Favorite. I don't know if it is in Marvel Saga or not. Because by the time Marvel Saga had come along, I stopped using the Marvel Universe entirely. I always use my own creations, unless somebody really, really wants to play in the Marvel Universe. Then we got Marvel Heroic, which I'm still not sure about. I'm trying to play it, play by post, but life has been a little crazy. A friend started it, and I thought, well, maybe he can show me how to do this game. Actually, there's another friend who's been really kind in showing me how the game works, but he stepped down from GMing that game to be a player, and somebody else took it up as a GM, and I don't post it up. I know it's play by post doesn't, I don't stay active enough because it moves too slow. And it's like it'll move slow, 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 and I'll be like, okay, I'll post tomorrow. And then there'll be 15 posts. And I'm like, yesterday there was nothing. I've been waiting to post until somebody else did something. So it's like, it's that. Play by post is not my favorite. I am playing a few now because it's just a way to get to play more superheroes, which I'm fine with, but I prefer voice or even video chat. Discord is a godsend, and Roll20 can be nice too when it works. It doesn't work a lot. Mostly it works, but it's not perfect. Lots of people have other tabletop software, but I'm not. I just want easy to use, and not many of them are easy to use. So I'm like, I don't really need maps and tokens and stuff for me. So that's where I'm at. But now, Marvel, who produced the Marvel Universe role-playing game, not Marvel Heroic, that was by Margaret Weiss Productions. And I don't know, that the property itself is owned by somebody else, like the game system, but Marvel stopped producing it. And they decided that they would do their own game and do this. Now, it's by Matt Forbeck, who I've had some contention with, and who I also think is fundamentally a good guy. And he's a pretty smart designer. Not perfect. Who are? I mean, I'm not perfect. And this game is crunchy. Now, don't take that the wrong way. Just because it's a little crunchy does not mean it's bad. Phase Rip is a little crunchy. Marvel Saga is not as crunchy. Marvel Heroic is not as crunchy. But Marvel Universe is as crunchy, at least in a way. Here's the problem I have, and this is part of the crunch problem that I consider crunch. The more you have to look at your character sheet to know what you can do, the less involved in playing your character's role and personality you will be. That doesn't mean when you first start out that it's bad, and there are some people who can stare at their character sheet and still role play. And if they are, that's fine. But when you have to look down and look up, well, what can I do with this every time? Then that's bad. That's a kind of bad crunch for me. When you have to look at your character sheet every time. Phase Rip, I don't really need it. Marvel Saga, I don't really need it. And then in MMORPG, the Marvel Universe, published by Marvel, you had to look at your character sheet every time. Because you had to move energy. You're fiddling with the character sheet more than you are playing the role. And that is a problem for me. Because that's what I'm interested in. I'm wanting to see what innovative ideas, what kind of tactical superhero brilliance you come up with. You making jokes if you can, like Spider-Man. If you can't, fine, you can do something else. But, as long as you're playing the character and being a person within that costume, within the game, not just playing a chess piece on the board, which is like, I have moved, therefore we go. That's dull for me. I like chess, don't get me wrong. I have enjoyed chess quite a bit. I taught my nephew, my eldest nephew, who's in his 30s now, how to play. I forgot I did that. I have a chessboard I made because I had to take wood shop, and this was a time when they used to let people make crossbows, and they decided not to. And I'm like, well, crap. That's one of the main reasons I was in this class, was to learn how to use power tools, which was number one, and to make a crossbow, which was number two. And they said no. And so I said, well, can we make a chessboard? He goes, you want a chessboard? We'll make a chessboard. So he showed me how to do it. I had a lot of help, admittedly, but it was certainly a much more long-lasting item. I mean, it's still in good shape. I'd have a friend go back and sand it because it's gotten water spills and stuff on it. excuse me. But we sanded it and we glued it a little bit because, I mean, it's like 30 something years old. I mean, and it's been heavily used. So, I like chess. I don't need chess pieces for it, though, which I need to correct. They're just so expensive to get good ones that I want. I'm considering just getting some cheap plastic miniatures of various characters and just moving around. I saw a Marvel set, and I was like, Marvel. They're like an immense amount of money for the Marvel character set when I know and back it up. I just want little plastic, plastic figures I'm good with, but or wood, or glass, or crystal, or they don't have to be the most expensive kind. They just need to look nice. That's all I want. Is look nice. They can even be plastic as long as they look nice. But most of the plastic ones I found are hollow, and I don't like them. And I have a weird taste for being the kind of slob I am. Is I like really nice things. I just can't afford them and can't maintain them as well as I'd like. Like, I would not dress in t-shirts and jeans if I had more money for clothes. I would probably have a button-up shirt. I might even have a tie on. That should scare you. I like dressing up from time to time. Not all the time. Because, it's 104 degrees outside. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It said 102 on my computer. It's 102 degrees outside. I don't want to be in a tie in 102 degrees. Most businessmen out here don't want to be in a tie and a jacket in 102 degrees. So they don't. It's Texas. Welcome to Texas, especially the dry, hot part of Texas. Now, Marvel has decided to take their second shot at making a role-playing game with Matt Corbett. And as I said, it's crunchy, but it's not crunchy in a bad way. It's just a lot of number adding, a lot of adding up at the beginning, and a lot of adding in play. But you don't have to look at your character sheet as much to do that adding because you get used to your numbers for a while, and things are pretty quick. My biggest problem is in the Marvel die. In order to get your best success with an ultimate fantastic success, you have to roll 616, which is both strange since it's the Marvel multiverse and you're not playing necessarily in 616, but like your universe may be 7,957.3. But that's just what I'm saying. But the problem is there are powers in here that only trigger on a fantastic success. Not an ultimate fantastic success, just a fantastic success, which is where you succeed, but that separately colored D6 is a 1. It counts as a 6 when you add it up. But it's still, it's the best success you can get other than the fantastic. But the problem is that some powers only trigger on that. And while, yes, there are things called edge and trouble, which is advantage and disadvantage that can occur, and they do stack, unlike D&D, the problem with that is they don't occur often enough for it to be a reliable thing to build around. And I have a character that's built to be a martial artist, and with some other powers. He's got tactical mastery as well. So it's basically a different thing than some of their builds and things. But the problem is that in order to use his one ability to make multiple attacks, I have to get a fantastic success, which is a 33% chance of success, which sounds high until you roll dice. Because, believe me this, Hearts and Souls in playtesting had higher target numbers, both in the original and in the current edition that I am working on to publish now. Now, the reason they were dropped back to 50-50 on one die is because in actual play, in playtest, and we're talking about years of playtest at this point, both original is added to the second edition. The chances of success of rolling higher success numbers is not mathematically definable, okay? You can tell me all the math in the world, but when I watch somebody sit down at the table and roll and roll and roll, and they not get a success, not even one die matching or beating a target number in an entire game session, something is wrong with the game. Okay? Now, this you can still succeed without that fantastic success. But it's frustrating when you have this power that lets you do something that doesn't trigger often or at all in an entire session. Um, and it may not trigger in multiple sessions. And that is a problem. That is a problem they need to work on. There's lots of crunch in the game, as I said, but that's a problem they need to work on. Stuff needs to trigger a little more often. Because I watched a friend fail at every D&D role for a decade, except like we were rolling up a character for a game system that has a duty stat. And he rolled so well on that stat, but none of his other stats were above average. In fact, they were all below average. So it's like, I could have played that character. It'd have been great. I'd have been like, hey, ladies, you want to protect me? Yeah, you want to protect me. I'm beautiful. Or whatever, could have played a girl and like, hey, gentlemen, how's it going? You can protect me. I need big, strong men. Yeah, that's a stereotype. But if it's what you roll up, sometimes you have to use what you get. Um, but it really was like it's so unfair because that was the best character he had ever rolled for any game that's remotely like D&D. He has since gotten better, quite a bit better. Fortunately, his luck has changed. I hope it's luck. I believe it's luck. I would give him the benefit of the doubt, being luck. But when you have something that you need to trigger more often, especially in a game you feel should play fast, and it doesn't because you have to make an attack, one attack, one attack, one attack. It becomes problematic. And there are games that do multiple attacks and speed bonuses better. Building of Vigilantes is the top of my list for managing to handle super speed visually well if you use the little cardboard cutouts or tokens in the miniature. Because I have played a speed stream. Now, the problem becomes is everybody else gets bored if they don't also have a speed bonus. They're not all speed streams. But it's nice because you can literally go, I'm going to run around this person until they knock themselves unconscious. And it will work. It's a strategic. You can, otherwise you can punch them in the back of the head, or the side of the head, and that gives you a bonus. But I've done that. And it's a nice thing is because, like, my character ran from one side of the map, off the map, went and got rope, came back, tied somebody up, went and attacked somebody else. That was nice. It gave a feeling of action. That's many superhero games fail. I'm going to take a big thing here. And a lot of people's favorite game I'm going to stomp on. Hero. Hero, there's a limit to the number of actions you can get because of speed. Now, logically speaking, that definitely makes it more fun for everybody else at the table. But it also creates the fact that it feels slow. The results feel slow. And it made me realize that, especially with all the movies we've had, and with the Spider-Man video game sitting over here and having it been played by me, not finished, but being played by me and enjoying it quite a bit before my attention span went. Again, I will finish it someday, as long as they make me a backwards compatible like PS7. But here's the thing. To me, that game is kind of how superhero fights should work. You can attack this guy and then bounce to this guy and then attack to this guy. Now, you may not take them out in each hit, but you can literally zigzag around. Now, not every character needs that. The Hulk doesn't need that. Then the Hulk can pick up a car and smash 3 people at once. Phase Rip allows this. It allows multiple attacks in 2 ways. There's the sweep attack, which gives you a huge minus, but it can hit everybody adjacent to you, which is brilliant. There's the multiple attacks, which is more like Spider-Man's bounce, 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 bounce rule, which can give you up to 3 attacks. Now, no more than that, that's okay, because that keeps it constrained enough that nobody else is getting intensely bored with it. while watching the game play. Marvel Saga, you can split your card play at least between two people if you have one skill. I'm pretty sure you can split it among more as a house rule or an option. I would probably allow that you can go, look, hey, these are a bunch of thugs. So I'm going to split this attack into four and play cards on all of them. Because it says pre-card play in the rules. So it says, well, I should probably go pre-card play in the rules instead of air quotes, because air quotes makes it seem like it's imaginary when it's not. But that is also fast play. MURPG, I have no clue. There's so much moving of pips and stuff that I'm like, this is slow anyway. This is slow to make one attack. Marvel Heroics, I'm not sure about. I have given it a chance. I tried it in playtest. I didn't care for it. I tried it again when it came out. I didn't quite care for it. My brain just can't seem to fit all the pieces together. I'm trying it because a friend started a play-by-post. He sent stepped down from GM, and another person has stepped in as GM. Now, I had to go to a third person to try and help me explain the dice system multiple times so I would get how I can stack stuff. Because honestly, this may be the character build that I'm using. My character is an alternate universe of Tigra, and some people seem to be able to roll a d12 for everything, and I seem to be rolling d8s for everything. And they built characters that were hybrids rather than just a XP alternate universe. I'm a male version of Tigra, called Tigra, and I just don't feel as effective as the other characters. Now, may just be my feeling. I'm trying. It's play by post, so it's slower. I have made suggestions to my character, but somebody else brought a character in that steps on that suggestion that I wanted to make. So I'm not sure what to do at this point with that character. But again, when we go back to this game, I want it to feel frenetic. I want superheroes to feel fast. Phase Rip may not be perfect, but it manages it. Hearts and Souls allows you to make a lot of multiple attacks, but it's all one roll. I believe Mutants and Masterminds does as well, but I'm not sure. I think First Edition allowed it. But in Hearts and Souls, you scale yourself up to a new scale. You're basically going, okay, so I'm superhuman, and I need to attack 50 people, so I'm going to scale myself up to planetary, which is functionally, I can attack a, football stadium worth of people. Not really, but, we're just using that as a sort of overload version of expensive, because planetary is huge. You can attack a lot of people at least once, and you probably want to attack them twice. Or you run through and you punch them all. And you may punch one twice because you have to build up stress to knock them out. That happens. That's the way it works. Now, it allows you to make multiple attacks with one roll and then describe the results. You may knock everybody out. You may knock 3 guys out. You may not. It happens. But it gives you a slightly more option for frenetic feel. Other characters may not feel as frenetic, but by the same token, I have had a super strong character clap his hands and completely defeat the bad guy's super special trap. And that to me says it's, about the same value as attacking a bunch of guys with normal human strength. He did a great job, and he was the only one there. So it's definitely comic book action, and that's what I want all these Supergirl games to be able to do. Hero, not so much. B&B does. I don't know about some of the more recent ones. There are some that are based on old school D&D. There are some that are based on their own things, like that. I don't know, because I've finally reached the point in which people are producing enough games that I can't keep up. I just don't have the budget to keep up. I would love to, but I don't have the budget. I just don't have the money. I'm spending way too much money on everything else. I'm trying to get bookshelves again, and just stay healthy and all that jazz. Now, in other news, they need to work on that. It's got some neat things like karma can be spent to give yourself edge or to give somebody trouble. the numbers, though the levels, could be condensed a little tighter. I don't think you need, because there seem to be benchmarks 5, 10, 15, 25. I think you could probably make that one, uh, let's use odd numbers 1, 3, 7, 9. 1, 3, 7, 9. Or something, and just compress some of that inner stuff. And then allow people to just up things more individually so that if like say I want to be much better at being defending against physical attacks, I can up just that. So you can do that anyway to a limited degree by raising your attribute, as long as it doesn't break your limit based on your class. Not a big fan of class-based ideas. I have tried to write one many times, but I always run into the problem with there are characters that break classes. Most of them are solo characters. Superman breaks most class systems. Spider-Man breaks most class systems. Ghost Rider breaks most class systems. They're mostly solo heroes, but they do team up from time to time. Then there's some that would work in a system. Fantastic Four, you have your brain, you have your brick, you have your blaster, and then you have your, what I've taken in order to keep it Beast, the bushwhacker, which is Invisible Woman. She's the one who can sneak up and hit you from behind. And sometimes the bushwhackers are not who you expect. You certainly wouldn't expect Invisible Girl to be a bushwhacker. She's got force fields, but she can use them to hit people, and she's invisible. But if you look at the original X-Men, you have a blaster, Iceman. You have your brick, which is Beast, who's a low-level brick. Cyclops, who's a blaster. So you've got 2 blasters and 1 brick. Marble Girl, who's a brain, because her powers are psychic, and she's usually portrayed relatively smart. Not the smartest in the room, but still reasonably intelligent. Not that any of the X-Men, except maybe Wolverine and Colossus, are shown to seem to be not the brightest of the bunch. I'm not saying they're inferior at all. I'm just saying that there are people smarter than them on the team. And Beast is also a little bit of a brain. He's a bit of a mix. And then you have Angel. And Angel was a solo character, but he's basically a bushwhacker because he attacks from the direction nobody thinks about. So, from above. Now, nowadays, if you look at the superhero universe, you'd be like, looking every direction, like every time when you walk out your door, is anything up there, is anything to the left, anything to the right, you're going to hold the door open for like a minute and a half to see if anything happens. Now, Hearts and Souls is coming. It should be kickstarted this year. I have a friend helping me on it, and that is the finale of this video. Welcome to my TED Talk. No, I'm kidding. No offense to TED Talk. This is an unofficial, not a business channel. I like TED Talks, actually. I enjoy them. But this is about gaming. And I'm going to do another video, but it's more about personal stuff. So if you want to skip personal stuff with Tim, feel free. I feel it's kind of important. And it's going to go out there. And it may make a lot more waves than I want it to be. So, wish me luck. Peace, love, good joke.